Hi, I'm Victoria. Welcome to EPP Basics. In this session, I'm going to talk to you about the ladder stitch. The ladder stitch is normally used in things like toy making or dressmaking and even in upholstery. It's perfect for when you don't want to see your stitches from the right side of your work. Come along, I'll show you some samples and I'll show you how to actually sew the stitch. All you need is some EPP shapes, a needle and thread and a pair of scissors. You ready to get stitching? Let's go.
If when you're English paper piecing you're looking for an invisible stitch and you don't like the results that a whip stitch gives you, one other option is to use a ladder stitch or a slip stitch. This is a stitch that's ordinarily used in things like toy making and dressmaking and upholstery. Generally you sew from the right side and you sew in such a fashion that it means that the stitches can't be seen from the right side. So that's where it can become quite useful if you're doing English paper piecing. As usual, you place your two pieces right sides together. I've got here two glue basted hexy shapes that we're going to sew together. And I'm going to start off by taking my thread and just securing the stitch. You can start off with a knot in the end of your thread if you like, but I'm just going to run a couple of stitches in the seam allowance, if you like, of the reverse of one of the hexies. So I've done that. So if you can zoom in on that, you can see I've just done that little bit of stitching in that corner, and that's just on, that's not going through to the right side, that's just on that seam allowance. So when I start off doing this, I like to put a stitch that goes from the very corner of the top hexie or shape and then through the very corner of the bottom shape, and I'll run that stitch through, and then I'll pull through from the underside back over to the top side and just run through one more time, and that just secures the corners and makes sure that they don't slip about when you're stitching, and it gives you a slightly more accurate result at the end. So that's those two corners stitched together. When you do your ladder stitch or slip stitch, what you're doing is you're running the needle through this very edge on your pieces rather than going over the edges. You're running along. So I'm going to take this, we're on the underside at the moment, we've come out of the brown, so I'm going to come over and onto the green, and I'm going to insert the needle not far from where I've done this corner piece, and I'm going to just slip inside that edge, and I'm going to run along a little way and then poke back out again. Can you see how I've done that? But it's on this very top edge. I'm going to push it through and pull through, and then I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to go across to where the brown is, and I'm going to insert the needle in on that edge, and I'm going to run along a few millimeters and poke back out again. Again, that stitch is going along the very edge of the hexie edge, and you can see from this wrong side you can just see that one little stitch. So I'm coming out of the brown and I'm now going into, drop the needle, and then I'm going over to the green, so I'm crossing over, I'm going poking in, and then I'm moving the needle and going sliding along, it's just come out, sliding along the outside edge and then poking back out again. So I'm on the green, I'm going across to the brown, I'm poking down into the brown, down into the brown and along, just a little way, and then out, and you can pull that tight. So we've come out of the brown, so we're going into the green opposite, a few millimeters along, poking out, across to the brown, a few millimeters, then out. And you can see as you pull it tight, the rest of those stitches start to disappear. And I've used this grey thread, and you can see how actually, even though it's not a thread that goes with both of these colours of fabrics that I've chosen, the stitches disappear nicely. So just a couple more stitches into the brown and out. And with this stitch, it can be, I think, a little less strong than a whip stitch, but if you do your stitches quite close together, you've got more of a chance of it being a bit stronger. So on this final stitch here, I've come out at the corner of the green piece here, on that edge, and I'm going over to the brown into that corner. You see I've gone into the very corner there, and I'm going to go over that corner again because that one time I don't find enough. So I've come out of the brown, and I'm going to come over to the top and go through the corner of the green again and through the brown again. Okay, so that corner is nice and secure. So from the wrong side you can't see the stitching, and from the right side you can't see the stitching. You see, even if I pull those, you can see where the stitches have formed, but you really can't see that. Okay, so that's your ladder stitch. And at this point you can then decide what you're going to do with your thread. You either tie off the thread on the reverse, or you save that, and you might be wanting to join another hexie in here. But some people like to join in strips, so you may be joining either side here. So you tie off your thread and you start again. So there you go, that's the ladder stitch or a slip stitch.
So there you have it, there's the ladder stitch. Perfect for when you don't want to see your stitches on the right side of your work. If you want to try out some other stitches, you've got the whip stitch and you've got the flat back stitch. I've got tutorials for both of those on YouTube as well. Go and have a look at my channel. I've also got on my website a printable of 1-inch hexies. You can print them out and get going with English paper piecing straight away. Go give it a try. Do you use social media? I do. I've got an Instagram account and I use Facebook. Come and follow, come say hi. I'd love to hear from you and see what you've been getting up to. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.